Hello and welcome back to the Weekly Woo from April 6th to April 12th, 2026. Okay, so this week we do not have a lot of aspects, but what we do have going on is going to be make it far from quiet. It's going to be very active. We are going to be Uranus ruled. And the reason I say that is because on April 7th, depending on where you live in the world, but it'll be close enough, is going to be entering into its 29th degree. Okay, so we would be feeling some of the craziness and weirdness from that, the chaotic energy from it, but officially it will be in the 29th degree on April 7th. So that is a biggie. Okay, so the 29th degree is known as the chaotic anoretic degree. So any planet in any sign at that 29th degree tends to be chaos. It's all over the place. It's kind of crazy. It acts out in the negative energy before it ever straightens out and maintains. So it's kind of, out of the blue, unexpected things, unexpected events and people, weird things happening, crazy behaviors. And this can also elevate unexpected truths that surface. Okay, so that being said, we will move on from that. So that kind of just governs a whole week where it's going to be here, there, all over the place. And something else is your plans are not going to stick. So be patient, to be flexible, be willing to adapt and change plans as needed or required. Okay, so I'm going to start with our planetary shifts first of all, as I always do. So, like I said, we don't have too much for daily aspects, but we will have Mars entering its home sign of Aries, which it flourishes here. She's back, or actually he, I like to refer to as a masculine planet because it is in his home sign where it operates fiercely. It's hot, it's energized, and it's hot basically to go, okay? Adding more fire to the equation. And so that pretty much will be our only ingression, our only planet entering into a new sign. So as we enter more Aries, it's going to eventually fade out and fade away out of all the Pisces energy. So really this week, we still are going to feel that Pisces stellium. We're going to still have 3 points or 3 planets in that Pisces energy, but it's starting to peter out, starting to fade out. So all those points or planets are going to start moving into the next sign, which is the sign of Aries. So that's a good thing. It kind of takes a deep, heavy, watery, emotional energy and kind of puts it to bed, puts it to rest for a while. Okay, but then it will amp up the fire in life, okay? So that being said, I will move on to our larger overshadowing energies. And so really right now, it's actually kind of a fine time. We are definitely all planets direct until about, I think, the 6th of May when Pluto goes retrograde, but that is an outer planet, not such a serious thing. But we are all planets direct. So yahoo, yay, yay, yay. So that is all systems go. That's a green light to go ahead for new projects, new ideas, new side hustles, maybe registering businesses, buying large ticket items. Anyway, it's kind of free flowing. That's kind of like the good mojo time zone. It does not come around all too often. And so it is a very opportunistic time zone to take advantage of wanting to move forward with brand new things, brand new projects, brand new ideas, those kind of things. So yay, yahoo, good thing. Okay, however, we are still in the post-shadow phase, post-shadow Mercury retrograde, until about the 10th, maybe not quite that long, but I don't know, it would seem to be kind of a rough Mercury retrograde. Like, I can't tell you how many people I've heard just bad luck with things and things not working out and having to redo things and replan things and always having to double check on items or things going on and having to redo them, and it just was a nightmare. Internet connection problems, dropped internet signals. Like, it just seemed to be a nightmare for a lot of people. So, but anyway, that is coming to an end, but we are still in the post-shadow phase. So not a big deal. Every day we are climbing out of it. We are still in the post-shadow eclipse season. So that will take us to about May 3rd. I allow about 2 months. So that was on March 3rd would have been the closing date of the full span or the full-blown eclipse season. So that will take us to about the beginning of May. So again, that's each day that passes by, that energy will lighten and go away as well. Okay, let me see. Again, I already told you that on April 7th, Uranus will reach that 29th chaotic anoretic degree. Okay, so that, you know what, it's kind of a rough ride. It's kind of hang on for the ride and take everything in stride. Do not engage. Do not fight with people, because it's a time where people will tend to react crazy or do things that they would not normally do. So the best thing is walk away, don't engage, and don't aggravate people who are kind of crazy. Don't poke the bear, right? Anyway, this will come to a close when it will reach. It's the ending of that 29th degree, and it will enter into Gemini, and that will be on April 25th. So as we get closer and closer to that April 25th time zone, it's going to be basically from the 7th to about the 24th, 25th, where it's in that 29th degree full-fledged, and it's almost like chaotic anarchy. It's unexpected things. And just remember, Uranus is the sky god. I'll get into a little bit more of that a little bit later. And so it's air-linked. We have Mars entering into Aries, which that's war-torn. And so, it's quite possible in that particular time zone from like the 7th to about the 25th, where we could be looking at unexpected airstrikes, unexpected war. Remember, Mars is our god of war. Uranus is our sky god. Okay? So just to kind of do the math, and that can compute out to so many different avenues because each planet does have multiple meanings, right? Anyway, it's just one of those things. So, and even though it's a chaotic and unexpected degree, we do have some good aspects with it too. So it can be chaotic good too, right? So, but maybe being too busy, too much work, too much business coming in, I can't keep up. Or that an unexpected opportunity. So as crazy and as unhinged as that 29th degree can be, which most time it is, sometimes there's some good things that can come with that too. So unexpected things coming in that are really good, like an opportunity or a complete out of the blue, out of left field surprise, or a very, very unexpected opportunity or offer. So that is possible too. Okay, so we always have to remember, even though it's sitting at that 29th degree, there are still some positive things that can possibly come out of that, because we do have in the 29th degree some Mars sextile, which is good opportunity, prep meets opportunity with Uranus. So when I say that, even though it's crazy, chaotic, just avoid the bad and don't take part in things that are negative or low vibration energy, and you will manage okay. Let's see. And this whole week is going to be governed by Uranus. And so it's going to be unexpected. So this whole week, our plans are not going to stick. They're not going to stay the same. So don't think you're going to concrete in your plans for the week, because that's not going to happen, especially when we have the chaotic sky god Uranus operating at that chaotic 29th degree. So that will just add to the pile of changes and disruptions and, unexpected events and unexpected news coming in. So just expect daily plans to change, and probably multiple times. So if you can deal with that, have the self-awareness or, kind of a heads up, that does help. So that's that. Learn to work with it, roll with the changes, have patience. And it is what it is. But the good part about it, this will come to a close, okay? So just remember, I want to mention too about Uranus in Taurus at the 29th degree. It's finishing its final transit. Uranus does not like being in Taurus. It's in a detriment sign, doesn't like it there. And so it's coming to a completion. So, and we think back, when we come to that 25th of April, we can think back, basically Uranus has been in Taurus for 7 years, okay? So when it enters into Gemini, it's going to be the next 7 years sitting in Gemini, okay? So that's the transit. That's a transit time per sign. And a complete cycle through the zodiac belt of signs is 84 years. So if we think back, depending on how old you are, some of you won't be that old, but the last time we were sitting at the 29th degree Uranus and Taurus would be 84 years ago, okay? So that's why these outer planets, when they change signs or complete their circuits or cycles or orbits, that's why it's so significant, because it does not happen often, okay? So anyway, it's just going to be kind of a crazy week, plans changing all over the place, whatever. So with that being said, again, Mars entering into Aries, that, like I had just said in the planetary shifts, that is going to be our god of war, our action, our energy, our force, our willpower. It's a masculine energy. It's highly sexual. It's moving into its home sign of Aries, which is the fire starter. It's the pioneering time. It's the beginning. It's got courage. It's got stamina. It's all about full force ahead. It's also about about sovereignty. And, we have, of course, have been seeing that, on a global scale. So we can see more of that getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And the more planets move into Aries, the more stronger that energy is going to be. So on a personal level, on a body level, we can start to feel maybe more energy within, more energized. Like we have more energy. We want to do things. We're not feeling so tired, essentially. So that can be a really, really good thing. It adds more fire to the mix, right? It's a go-getter energy, right? So, and something else about Aries, we do want to hold back the tempers because it can be angry, it can be violent, it can be war-torn, it can be domineering. We do not want that. So do not engage with that, not now. It can be violent, it can be selfish as well. So it can also be belligerent, okay? So that won't be for everybody, but the more fire we have, and the more we're adding to it, especially with Mars in there, that's a god of war, and you start mixing violence or tempers or angry with war energy, that can get ugly real quick. So do keep that under control. But the other thing, it has got a lot of very, very good go-getter energy with it, right? So again, it's very, very ambitious, so that's quite lovely about it, and it's bold, right? And it tends to be eye-oriented. You're going to put yourself first. So essentially, you're going to put yourself for a better exercise regime, a better diet, looking after the physical body, getting healthy, working on wellness. That's another good thing that can come out of this as well. So remember, every sign's got its pros and every sign's got its cons, both positive and negative, okay? And the other thing is, this can also drum up being very, very impatient. So we do not want that, because that's not going to be a good combination, especially not until basically the rest of April. So do have patience, right? And do have some consideration for others. That is something else. And something else that might be kind of cool is, not only is Aries the go-getter energy, especially Mars, because where you have Mars is where you want to go, because that's where your energy is pushed. That's where you see where you want to be, where you want to put your energy to. So it tends to be quite adventurous too. So that could be adventure and traveling, those kind of things too. And having the energy to do so. I can't tell you how many people I've heard are just so tired and so exhausted. And so again, with all that heavy water energy coming to a close, that will certainly help. And we add some fire to it, that can add passion, that can add drive, and that will certainly help. Okay, so I'm just looking at my notes. I think I got all those covered. Yes. Okay, so we are going to have probably quite a bit of communication going on this week. And again, unexpected communication or unexpected news, those kind of things. Okay, so we always have to remember that Uranus is a higher octave of Mercury. And so not only communication via any means, text messages, phone calls, news, information. And this can be unexpected truths. And I do expect to see some weird truths coming out on a global level from basically now, well, about the 7th for sure, right through to the end of April. Things that you just did not see coming. And it'll be shocking, right? Because Uranus is the planet of shock and surprise, but it's also the shock about truth-telling, truths appearing. Okay, so and again, when you're talking communication, I'll just keep on going with that. So that can be like phone calls, text messages, emails, courier things getting sent to you or you sending things out, communications in person, anything to do with any type of communication coming and going. So that probably will be quite busy this week. Okay, so I do want to get into what I want to talk about, the undertone and the governing energy of Uranus this week. And chances are we're going to be feeling this right through till the end of April. So just kind of get used to it, be aware of it, and work with it, right? Nothing to be scared of, but we know it's there, so what can we do with this crazy, chaotic energy to make it work for us? A, don't engage in conflict. B, don't try pick fights, okay? So this is going to be unexpected behaviors, unexpected events taking place. We do not want to take part in anything negative or bad, okay? So flip it around into something positive. So Uranus is known as a sky god, right? It is the planet of shock and surprise. And it's also about freedom. So it's so freedom oriented. It's about breakdowns to have breakthroughs. Okay. So again, it's crazy. It's weird. It's different. Like again, truth telling, exposing. It's very unstable and exceptionally unpredictable energy. So it brings in sudden change or erratic behaviors or erratic events. Again, very chaotic, and it can be very, very independent. And I kind of like that independent combination mixed with the freedom, mixed with the sovereignty. So we'll probably see a lot of that happening as well. And it tends to be revolutionary energy. So not only freedom, loving, independent, but it tends to create revolution energy. And we are definitely seeing that on a global level. So we will see this on a global level, but I'm sure for some of us it will resonate with us because we will see some revolution or independence or some sort of a freedom on a personal level as well. So apply that accordingly. That is a completely different storyline for everybody. And Uranus also, when you're looking at it, it becomes the tearing down, the instant deterioration or tear down of old ways or tearing down old order, right? Because it has to get rid of it before it can establish something new to build a new structure. So it tends to be that, like when it talks about revolutionary energy, that's what it means. Tear down the old, replace it with the new. It's got to go. It's worn out of its time. It's done. It's over with. The expiry date's finished. Let's get rid of it, right? It's also considered the genius planet as well. It's kind of like the backdoor thinker, right? Way out there. Lots of times, Uranus, it also rules Aquarius, but it can often be ahead of its time as well. And again, when we are mixing Mercury and Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So that tends to give us that, that universal connection, divine connection with God. So it enhances, the flashes of insight, that intuition, like you see things, precognitive energy, any of the clairs. So that's where it kind of lights up that energy out to the universe. So do pay attention to your dreams, your dream state content. I always like to say, do jot it down, document it, okay? Yes. So essentially the best thing would be Uranus is always linked to seeing beyond the five senses, okay? So that's kind of really cool. So, but again, it's erratic energy. So this can be erratic, crazy behavior. Again, I'm not going to be shocked to see, crazy world events going on from now till, definitely the end of April, but probably into May. So, again, it's not something we want to observe. We don't want to take part, okay? But definitely it will be happening. Again, it can be very, very war-torn. The takedown of old things, the takedown of old order, that can include government bodies, government officials. Take it as it lands. It's old, it's going to be gone. Okay, it's going to on the tear down, the dismantle. Okay, so also when we talk about that Uranian energy in the 29th degree, so this can cover Earth events. So the act of God, weather events. So that can be weird weather, unpredictable weather. That tends to be tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanoes, any sort of flooding, just weird, a very, very turbulent weather. I do expect that to happen in the next month or so, that to be heightened more so than what it is. Shifting the tectonic plates, those types of things. Okay. This can also include the internet and any sort of radio wave. So any internet connections, problems with travel, problems with air travel. So that can include, unfortunately, airplane problems, radio problems, any sort of connectivity with, electrical systems, and anything that include aircraft or anything, electrical systems, electricity as a whole. And unfortunately, that will include air crashes because when we have the 29th erratic degree Uranus and Taurus, and it's affecting the sky god in a negative way, like a chaotic, crazy way, unpredictable, unexpected way, unexpected events that can happen within the air. So whether that's airstrikes, things war-torn via planes, plane crashes, planes exploding. That's a possibility, unfortunately, but that follows with the 29th degree. All right. Again, problems with planes, problem with flights, problems with flying. That can also include lost luggage or whatever. Anything to do with planes and flights and flying can be a problem in any way, shape, or form. Again, crazy behaviors, erratic behavior, people not thinking right, the wiring in the brain being a little bit off. This can also include uranium areas. So again, radioactive areas or nuclear energy. And again, we're talking about nuclear energy. That can be power plants, anything to do with power, electricity, or uranium mining, or issues with any of those. And because it's in Taurus, that always includes money, finances, possessions, how we make money. That can include currencies, that can include stocks, investments, banking, okay? And so when we talk about that, that can be impacted in a crazy way. Like it can be good today and just, pounded into the ground the next day and then back up the next day. Like it's going to be very, very unstable. It's unpredictable. It was all over the place. And we can inspect that, good or bad or bouncing around all over, but that probably will be for about the next month or so. I would say a month, because even though it's going to be going into Gemini on the 25th, we're still within orb, which is still going to be within reach. So allow a month and just don't get excited because things will plane out, okay? It just takes a little bit of time. Just remember, each day that goes by, that crazy chaotic energy, it will pass. And after that point of pass on the 25th of April, it will lighten. Each day it will lighten, it will smooth out, it will get better. Because remember, it is totally changing signs, okay? Okay, and again, electricity and power. So this is something I want to be highlighted. So it can be topics of electricity, topics of power, even hydropower or anything to do with water and power. Do be very careful of electric shocks, electrocutions, because when we have the 29th degree, Uranus is about power. It's about electricity, which can include electrocution, shocks, electrical problems in houses or buildings, electrical fires, electrical explosions. Again, shocking truth. So this one always gets me every time I see this, the Uranus. So this is going to be like, you just totally blows your mind what comes out in the truth, the truth barrier, what gets unearthed, or what gets things to the floorboards. And I do believe we'll probably see this over the next month or two. It's going to be shocking as to what has been hidden, what's going to come out as a truth, because Uranus does like to do that too. Okay, so with all that being said, and again, the biggest thing is keep your hair on, don't get excited, don't engage in conflict or fighting, because in this particular the time zone, that can take somebody and people around you or in crowds to a very, very volatile or high conflict or fighty time zone. So, we have seen, the mass shootings or, mass violence, I guess that's a better term. And so again, for the next month, that's going to be probably fairly highlighted, because again, that crazy behavior, and we do not want to be engaging in that. But unfortunately, that probably we're going to see that somewhere on the global realm, okay? So unfortunately, but we can sit back in observation mode, right? So we want to be in full control of our behaviors and how we think, and we want to sit back and observe and see how these energies actually play out and affect people. And that can even be pets too, right? Watch how they behave. Okay. So that being said, that kind of covers a lot of that area. So I'm just going to go into a little bit of the house content. Like I said, we don't have an overly busy aspect week, but it's still going to be like absolutely crazy, And so sometimes when we have kind of crazy energy, even though it's kind of chaotic, sometimes it's kind of cool to try something that we might have not tried, or, maybe we've been thinking about it and, just try that unexpected thing, or put your name in for something, or do an unexpected draw, or donate some money to a place that you might have been thinking about. And remember, karma always comes back in tenfold when you're doing giving and you're being generous, having generosity about things. So in that aspect, it's kind of neat to do kind of like a few off the wall weird things, or things that you wanted to try but you never have had the courage. It could be a good week to do that too, right? So again, there is positive and negative. It just depends how you choose to use this energy. Okay, so we are going to be in the house content. Remember, Uranus rules the 11th house. And again, we basically have an air house, the sky god house, and we have all the health houses lit up. Okay, so we have house 1, 6, and 8 lit up this week. So there's going to be a major health focus. So whether it's your physical body, working on the muscular system, building a better muscular body, or focusing on shedding some body fat, those kind of things. Anything around the head or the facial area, hair, face, makeup, maybe new hair color, haircut, something like the physical appearance and the physical body, especially, and in the head too. So there might be some attention around, the eyes, the sinus cavities, the brain interior, the exterior of the head. And do be careful with the head area, because that your crazy Uranus, Uranus is active this week. That can be very accident prone, right, too. So be very careful not banging your head, hitting your head, taking a fall, smacking your head traumas, because that can happen as well. And basic diet, exercise, diet regimens, exercise routines, health, wellness, healing, those kind of things. Very much a health focused week this week. And you might get that out of the blue idea. So that's very good with Uranus too. Those things, Jesus, I never thought of that. Or out of the blue flash of insight that, it can be a very good connective week for those kind of things too. So think more on an elevated dimension. So above the 3D level, and you could flourish quite well there, right? This week and actually for the next month ahead. So keep that in mind. And again, we have the 8th health house lit up. That's a water house, and that's also about sex. So and intimacy. So we could be looking at sexual health, intimacy health areas. It's about the mental and emotional health because it's a water house that covers the emotions and mental health. Okay, so anxiety, stress, those types of things, or any sort of health or mental. It could be mental illness or, imbalances, those kind of things. This is also the house of surgeries that gets lit up. So when we talk about that, so that can be you've had a surgery, you're planning a surgery, you're talking about surgery, or someone is having a surgery. It's also about hidden procedures. It's also about miscarriages and abortions, unfortunately. And so when we talk about hidden procedures or secret procedures or just nobody knows about it, so that can be those types of things too. So someone's having a surgery that is just not publicly known, or maybe the family doesn't know, and maybe it's just nobody's business. But it can be hidden procedures and hidden surgeries done. Okay, or planning a surgery, something like that, or a surgery taking place. And in this particular week for the next month ahead, I should say, it can be unexpected surgeries that are going to take place because something happened. That's possible. It might not be to you, but it probably would be somebody in your environment, okay? Okay, so we are going to bounce back to the 11th house. So it's about innovation, friends, your friend circle group, okay? So acquaintances, dating, social media, and internet. So that's going to be very highlighted this week, okay? So you might be watching more of it. You might be starting your own platform, those kind of things. Internet-based projects. I talked about that. That can have some hiccup energy with it. Groups, committees, associations, large organizations, communities, I said that, humanitarian efforts, that's like on a large scale, global scale, okay? Like minds, like-minded groups. This can big time include politics. The 11th house covers politics, politicians, any sort of leader linked with politics, and that can be linked with truths coming out. So it's kind of look out because the next month ahead is going to be like, holy crap, wow, like I can't believe that, or I didn't see that coming, but boom, there it is, okay? And all of a sudden that changes and that turns the tables 180 degrees. Technology, and this can also include a digital currency and pennies from heaven. So this can be like a pennies from heaven, like a good luck house, right? It's the innovation house. And it's also an air house. And when I talk about pennies from heaven, it can also include the hopes, wishes, and dreams. It's known as the 40 wishes house, right? So it can be a lot of good things coming from there. So remember I said Uranus is crazy, it's chaotic. The anoretic tends to be on the negative side or chaotic. But it can be chaotic good. Like it can be a lot of good things coming in or a lot more business and you just can't keep up. It's a good thing, but the bad thing is you can't keep up or you're tired, right? So those kind of things. So that will be included. And again, we talked about the first house. And that's about, again, the health house, right? And that's about how you're seen, how you're recognized, your personal appearance, your physical body. We covered all that. And again, this is going to be covering the third house as well. So it's a communications house, right? So about, communications with relatives. So that won't be your kids, that won't be your parents, but that can be aunts, uncles, cousins, any sort of relative, neighbors, people you're close with, people in your friend circle, siblings. This usually is a big house of sibling communications, if you have any, or maybe it could be just some good friend who you consider will be sibling-like. Interpersonal devices and device systems. So that can be like computers, iPhones, iPads, iPods, Apple Air computers, those kind of things, any sort of computer device, desktop computers, anything to do with that. So, and again, a social media and internet is very highlighted again. And again, if you're thinking of buying like computers or iPods or new iPhones, it's a good time right now because we are definitely all planets direct and we are out of Mercury retrograde. So yahoo. This is about transportation and mobility. It's about short trips, right? And when I saw transportation and mobility, that can include cars, trucks, quads, mopeds, any sort of scooter, anything like that, side by sides, whatever. So different means or modes of transportation. That can include wheelchairs. All right, and it can include writing and editing. Short trips here and there up to the post office, down to the grocery store, or to the neighboring town. Short trips here, there, all over. Okay, and I also like to warn about gossip when we have a third house lit up. Do be very careful about gossip. Even if you do know things, doesn't mean you have to share them. So do know fact from fiction before you say anything. And better yet, even if you do know fact from fiction, just keep it to yourself, especially this week, because that Uranus is that crazy degree where you could just hit somebody in the wrong mood and they could be very erratic, uncontrolled behavior that turns chaotic. Like, don't poke the bear, don't poke the crazy person. Okay, our 5th house is going to be lit up, so that's going to be the house of children and grandchildren. If you have any creative projects, hobbies, pleasure, joy, fun. It's also about creative expression. So your creative expression could be anything. It could be gardening. You could work in a flower store putting arrangements together. You could be a seamstress. You could be a quilter. You could be a chef or a cook. Or you could be a writer or publisher. So that's quite highlighted as well this week. And it's about having fun. And this can also include gambling, but just don't push it to an excess. Talents or hidden talents. So hidden talents can pop out. The leadership role can pop out, so you might have to take on a leadership role in your own life. And being seen. So being seen on a more public scale. And because we have social media and internet and those kind of areas all lit up, you might be seen in a more public or societal role, or you might be more recognized for whatever it is you do. Or work at, for that. It's also the house of romance, sex, falling in love. And it's also about sports, being sports oriented or taking part in sports. Or you might be an athlete. But it's about brings you joy and fun. And this is also the good luck house. It's also the bucket list house. So that actually flows quite nicely with the pennies from heaven and the 40 wishes in the 11th house. So that's good. And I covered the 6th house. And again, that's basically a health house. It's a house of karma, right? We might be working on some karmic cycles in life or generational karma. And healing, wellness, like again, routines, daily routines, what you do, what your daily schedule is, your daily routine. And we're probably going to have some hiccups with those this week because of our crazy week. We do have, like I said, some aspects that are always changing our plans daily. Those are those little bugger negative aspect hiccups that come along to change our plans. But again, along holding hands in hand with the 29th degree Uranus energy coming in. All right, so this can also be doing things that are very, very important to you. Doing mentorship role, you might be mentoring, somebody might be mentoring you. Diet, exercise, health, focus. I said that this can also cover pets and your work. So whatever your work at, whatever your job is, and details will be of the essence, okay? So this can also cover employees and employers, some sort of relationship there. And it's the service to the world, right? And again, the 8th house, I said a little bit on that to do with the health, right? I covered that. But the 8th house is a very, very big, dark water house. And it is like a huge house. So this, again, is the water house, the 8th house. It's a health house, of course. But this can cover other people's money, inheritances, estates, other people's resources, or familial or spousal money. So like that would mean alimony, those kind of things, or shared or joint bank accounts, capital loans. This can include taxes, and we are in tax season. So family legacy, and this can be credit or credit report or credit score. Intimacy, sex. This is also the marriage house, relationship house. We can have power control issues here. This is also the self-empowerment house. This can cover psychology, parapsychology, mysteries, esoteric, mystical study, occult, mysticism, those kind of things. Again, I talked about the house of surgeries already. That's possible. And other people's money. So when I say other people's money, someone might give you some money. You might find some money on the ground, but initially that was somebody else's money that you found. It's a big money house. This can cover estates, estate affairs, inheritances. This can cover like wills, funerals, funeral planning, including monuments, those types of things, shared money, those types of things. And again, I really do like the self-empowerment area of this house, okay? This can include investments. is something else. It's also a lotto, like the lotto house. Big money house, the lotto house. Okay, and so when we do talk about the 8th house, it's ruled by Pluto, it's ruled by Scorpio. That is the death house, the death and transformation house, the sex and intimacy. But this can also cover the area or topic of cancer. So the disease cancer, the cancer anywhere in the body. Not necessarily you, but it could be just a source of topic or somebody you know. Okay, and again, like the 8th house is a huge, huge house. And basically it's death, transformation, transition, and sex and taxes, right? So like how can you not appreciate a huge house? It pretty much covers life to death, right? Sex to death to taxes to legacy. Okay, and I do want to talk a little about the 12th house. And we don't have like a whole lot of aspects going on, but we're still hanging in that stellium energy with Pisces, and it is fading out. After this week is over and complete, we will start moving out of that heavy water energy. We will be moving into more fire energy. So that heaviness, that emotional, that heavy feeling, being very, very emotional, those kind of things, eventually that is going to lighten the load. And that's kind of a good thing, because I can hear so many people's stories say that they're just ultra emotional and they overreact. And so that will pass. But do keep in mind, Pisces is very intuitive and it's very crafty, it's very creative, and it's very artistic, right? So there's that. Okay, so the 12th house I'm going to cover, that's going to be behind the scenes, things going on behind the scenes that we can't see, we don't know about, the hidden or the secret. This is also about the rest and retreat time, so about recharging, rejuvenating, take some rest time to recharge our bodies, which is a good thing because then it can be energized by all that Aries energy coming in. This covers dream and the dream state, so remote viewing, teleportation, astral dreaming, lucid dreaming, and it's also about the subconscious mind, our psychology or our inner work, right? And that's a different storyline for everybody. And again, they're very, very highlighted this week with the mystical and the occult or esoteric areas, right? This also covers that. So the cosmic soup is what they would call it. Esoteric, spirituality, occult, mystical study, mysticism, Akashic records, those kind of things. This also includes past life and past life areas, and generational karma in family or family cycles, okay? Or generations of families. It's art, artistic, very creative expression or projects. And this is also the fears and addictions house, okay? So this is kind of the downside of the 12th house. It's a huge, huge house as well. But the fears and addictions can be a problem, okay? So where escapism via addiction, so that can be alcoholism, drugs and alcohol, prescription drugs, sex addiction, pornography addiction, any kind of addiction under the sun can be included here. And fears. So avoiding fears, you don't want to face your fears. Avoidance, ignoring, escapism, evading areas that you fear, okay? It's the house of being private. It's also it can be isolation, it can be to be confined. It's a house of confinement, so hospitals, prisons, orphanages, monasteries, nunneries, those kind of things, isolation or stuck. So when I say isolation, that can be yourself isolating because you maybe want to write a book or you're working on a creative expression hobby or something. But it can, on the negative side, be an isolation process, say, for example, in an abusive relationship. One partner is isolating the other from family and friends, etc. Okay? That will be for people out there, hopefully not everybody. It includes foreign lands and foreign shores, areas, or topics, okay? Again, the house of privacy, wanting to have privacy or appreciating your own privacy, spirituality. And this is also about healthy or unhealthy escapism. So escapism by addiction, not so good. That's unhealthy. Healthy escapism is going for a walk in nature, watching a good TV program, movie, listening to good music, maybe saging safely if you do that, singing bowls, anything that would bring you peace and relaxation and calmness, and that would be having a healthy escapism, right? Or having a nice, quiet, enjoyable coffee or tea if you drink. And the last but not least is redefining yourself and your ego from the ground up. So what do I mean by that? So for example, if you were married and you go through a divorce, well, you're redefining your ego because you're no longer married, you become single, and redefining yourself from the ground up because everything changes. You know, you're not married anymore, you become single, you're dividing up assets or starting over again, rebuilding yourself from the ground up. So that I always save last for least, and it's the house of solitude, right? Again, a huge, huge house. All right, and so those are the areas that can be covered this week. And again, she's just all over the place. It's kind of wacky energy. So I will jump over to the health and anatomy. And so when we talk about that, so that will be, we have lots of Aries energy. So that's going to be the head, the face, the brain, the upper teeth. That's going to include the sinuses anywhere in the brain, inside the brain, outside the brain, those kind of areas. And that will also include the bottom teeth as well. So that can include dentures or two or false teeth, okay? It will cover the feet, your blood, the immune system, the lymph system, lymphatic system, the toxicity of water. So toxicity of fluid in the body. So it could be toxic water, toxic fluid in the body, viruses, and the thymus gland. And this, so we are slowly getting out of this too. So where unexpected water retention or just having water retention issues, abnormal swelling, and abnormal drainage issues with the lymphatic system. So you can have fluid back up in the lymph system, those types of things. And again, we've had this going on for quite some time because we are still in our health axis. That will take us till about July 2026, and eventually we'll get rid of that health axis, get rid of that Pisces energy. So just know over the next few months, especially the next while, like the next month or so, that will big time improve. So if you're having unexpected water retention or unexpected or unexplained swelling, that should slowly dwindle away. And again, this is also the house, the house area of addictions as well. Overdosing, that should be getting better, but that's possible, like overdosing on regular prescribed amounts of whatever, or oversensitivity to products, or vitamins or herbs or prescription drugs or those kind of things, oversensitivity, which can lead to overdose. Okay, that being said, that will cover that particular area of the health. And the other thing it's going to include is the throat, the neck, the ears, the vocal cords, the thyroid gland, tongue, mouth, tonsils, and lower teeth. Okay, so there's quite a focus on the teeth here. Okay, that will. Okay, and so again, the feet and the Achilles heel is another place that can be impacted. The higher nervous system too. So you want to keep the higher nervous system calm as possible, especially this particular time. It will include the muscular system, the external reproductive organs or systems, head and face, red blood cells, bladder, adrenal glands. And this will also include not only the higher nervous system, but just the nervous system. So anxiety, stress, you want to keep that calm, anxiousness, those types of things. Brain, again, that's double amplified. So there's quite an impact or focus on that particular part. So your sight, your mouth, your tongue, your respiratory system, including your lungs, hands, arms, elbows. Again, that thyroid gland is very highlighted. So if there's any sort of problem that seems like not quite right linked to the thyroid, that can be very highlighted this week as turning up as being a problem. Or maybe it's hard to track or maybe undiagnosed. You might want to get that checked. And again, the mind and the brain. So thinking patterns, that can include depression, those types of things, thymus gland. Okay, the upper back, the heart, spleen, circulatory system, the eyes, and again, a very general view or focus on your general vitality and state of health. That's going to be quite in focus. And last but not least, Pluto is somewhat active, and so we will read it off as well. So the elimination and reproductive systems, that can also include sewage. So that's not only the colon and the rectum and those kind of things for elimination organs. Reproductive system, pituitary gland, abnormal growths. Okay, so again, that will always link back to any sort of abnormal growth, benign or cancerous. And again, that there is a highlighted area for cancer or topics of cancer. This might not be you, but it could be somebody in your environment, family, friend, whatever, neighbor. So warts, tumors, moles, birthmarks, and cancer of any kind. That includes skin tags. Okay, so something else I do want to talk about is, again, the Piscean energy, because we're slowly fading out of that stellium, but it's still there. So other areas that it can cover is immigration, refugees. Okay, we know that's happening big time, so it's still fluent and it's still out there. Eventually that will come to a close. Oil, oil prices, oil drilling, gas prices, drilling for gas production. This also will include plastics of any kinds, plastic quality, making plastics, plastic creation, whatever, flooding, water problems, leaks. So when I talk about that, that can be flooding in basements, flooding in houses, inland flooding, like flooding from oceans, or just unexpected storms, because I can see that happening. Leaks in water lines, so leaks in your walls, leaky toilets, leaky tub faucets, leaky washing machines, leaky dishwashers. If you're going on vacation, be sure to shut off your source of water, your water valve in the basement, because this is a really, really bad time, especially with a Uranus sitting at the 29th degree. So that can give you that unexpected flooded basement. Okay, so do take that into consideration. This is also a time of a lot of deceit and deceitful behavior. So that is a shadow side of Pisces. And so when we're mixing again with that 29th degree Uranus, again, that can be truths being shot out into the public about deceit or deceptive ways being exposed. Okay, again, it can be very emotional, exceptionally intuitive, very creative, very artistic, and very, very compassionate and empathy. It's a very emotional state, right? So we're slowly climbing out of that. And the other thing is addiction problems. I've said that. People living in a spaced out fashion, living in fantasy land, having their head in the sand. And another term is wearing rose-colored glasses. So the next month ahead can be basically pulling the head out of the sand, taking or removing the rose-colored glasses. And again, something with Pisces energy on a negative vibe, or the more negative areas, is no boundaries. It's boundaryless. So again, when we talk about leaks and floods and water, Pisces is water. Water can flow into places it does not belong. Okay, so that can definitely be people can't mind their own business, people minding their own business, and just make sure you establish and keep healthy, respectful boundaries with other people and other people's business, as well as them with their nose in your business. It might have to be pushed back and establish healthy, respectful boundaries and implement them and hold it there. Okay, and we're slowly getting out of that. And because Pisces is immutable energy, it's very scattered. It's here, it's there. It jumps from this to that, and it can start about 20 or 25 different things and finish nothing. So do avoid doing that. Maybe if you can't work on something for too long, maybe start 3 to 5 things, work on a little bit each time till those are complete, and then move on to another 3 or more 5 things. And it can also include a lack of discernment or a lack of discrimination. So very, very foggy. And lots of times Pisces energy tends to be people pleasers. So, Libra is another one that's got the people pleasing things about it going on. But most and just about all water signs are people pleasers. And so that is another negative thing. So that was something I would caution. So do be careful with that. And it's indecisive energy, back and forth. You can't make up your mind. It's this way, it's that way. And it can be very, very detached. Detached from emotion, detached from reality, right? And again, basing decisions on emotion. So that is not always the best thing. Usually that comes back to bite you in the ass. All right. And something else that can be a very, very highlighted is, the exploration and the interest in the study of spirituality or psychology or deep psychology matters. Mysticism, or a study or a project with creative expression in regards to some sort of mystical study. Okay. So again, we are slowly getting out of that energy, which is a good thing. Especially on the negative side, it does have a lot of good things about it. But in that particular thing, the flooding and that kind of thing, and people not minding their own business, hopefully we'll get out of that. And the heavy emotions, we want to get out of that too, okay? All right. So with that being said, I think that will probably complete our reading for this week. Like again, it's kind of a crazy week. It can be erratic, crazy, emotional behavior or behaviors, something that's just out of the blue. So do take advantage of it, even though it's kind of a crazy week. There is lots of opportunity because we do have actually the best day of the week is going to be April 8th, which is going to be a Mars sextile Uranus at 29 degrees. That's super awesome. There's lots of opportunity, and there's lots of opportunities to be able to work with because of that crazy 29th degree in Uranus in Taurus. So it does have some really, really good things with it, but you want to be aware and you want to watch your step and do not trigger and do not poke the bear. Do not pick on crazy people. Okay. And again, we can expect a lot of unusual, unpredictable, unstable behavior and energy on a global level. Okay. So that will complete today's weekly woo. So until we talk again, stay happy, stay healthy, take care of yourself, and take care of each other. Bye for now.